Hello viewer, how the day is treating you right? It's another episode of A Song of Sunlight. Last time, Orem went through the slums and found a message, and through that, he learned that the people in the slums were actually conducting experiments on their own unborn children, trying to artificially raise their archimantic gene purity, just so they would be permitted to leave the stratum they're on. And from the looks of it, they did not succeed, so there was a bloody insurrection instead, which I believe killed most, if not all of them. And so after learning that the people that used to live here had much bigger problems than just a single famine, Orem went home, and at home, Qunari basically told it to his face that he thinks he's worthless, and Prava's attention is wasted on him. So, really, Orem can't really do anything. Not with his friend, and not with the bigger picture. And we got a midpoint save. Let's see what is going to happen here. I assume it's going to be yet another round of flashbacks. That seems to be the recurring pattern here. Once she'd taken me to the beach. Yes, we watched the waves together. My mother and I. Oh, we're starting with Prava again. The girl tried to remember why. Why? She hadn't asked for it. No, it was... Oh, yes. She'd memorized all the names of the bones in the hand. That's what it was. Her mother had picked her up and spun her around in the air. Oh, I love you, Prava, she'd said. This would be such a nice scene if we didn't already know that her mother was using basic motherly affection as a treat. I love you more than anything in the world. It had been her mother's idea. They had walked along the shoreline. The roar of crashing waves filled the air, punctuated softly by the sound of the sand crunching under her feet. Eventually, her mother found a place to sit. She picked the girl up and sat her down in her lap. And for that moment, as she held the girl arm around her chest, watching the sunlight dance across the water toward the horizon, she didn't have a single doubt about why she was born. You know, there's one thing I don't really understand about these Prava flashbacks. They're not in first person, unlike the Qunari flashbacks. And they always refer to her as the girl, as if these were not actually flashbacks, like someone else was reading from a memoir or something. It's really weird. Why she needed to take medicine as her obligation? None. It was all for that. Just for a little bit of her mother's love. That's so fucking sad. Are you almost done? Qunari was resting his head on his hand, leaning against the table to the girl's right. Orem and Sachi are waiting for us. The girl shook her head, scratching away at the papers lying on her own. No, she said resolutely. I need to take down the rest of the diagrams. If I don't do it now, I won't memorize them. Qunari nodded slowly. Prava, he began. Do you really like it? Medicine? The girl kept writing, eyes down. Do I have to? Qunari went quiet for a moment, thinking about his reply. No, I guess not. Okay, I'm guessing this is the time when they were still in general education. Before Qunari's injury. He chuckled. Why put so much into it then? You must stay late every day. There was a pause in the girl's writing. Her hand wavered, but she quickly continued. There's someone that She trailed off. It means a lot to her. I want to make her happy. No, that's a lie. You want to be happy, and you think you can only be happy if you make your mother happy. Which, as we have seen, is a very fickle thing. Kanari nodded, staring off into space. After a moment, the girl spoke again. Don't you have a reason like that? If they say you're unfit, and you have to break your obligation, wouldn't you be? The girl realized she'd been drawing the same line again and again. Upset? Kanari smiled. Well, yeah, of course. But I'd be upset because I'd really like to become a wound bearer. Maybe it doesn't seem that way, but I really do like it. It's the one thing I'm good at. I like the idea of keeping people safe. The girl stopped writing. She looked down at the page before her, studying the many symbols and diagrams. It's your mom, right? The girl was embarrassed at how easily he'd guessed. Well, I mean really. We haven't seen or had her father mention that also. I really was under the impression that she's a single mom, for whatever reason. You know, Prav, I don't think you should push yourself to do something only because you owe it to somebody else. Your mom, she loves you. Debatable. She would love you even if you weren't cut out to be a nurse. And that's a fucking lie, cause she has sisters who did not go on the medicine path, and they were basically disowned, I think. Even if they deemed you unfit. Yes. The girl thought, yes, that must be true. Even if I can't become a nurse, even if I don't want to, she would. No, she wouldn't. Later that day, as she had every day as of late, the girl made a list. A list of all the mistakes she'd made. Simply tracking wasted time wasn't enough anymore. The girl knew she had to pay for each and every one. Oh, so that's where the self-harm is coming from. For each mistake, which I think most of them weren't even mistakes, is just her. She took out a stone, one she'd found lying in the courtyard. The edge was sharp, like a knife. It had been perfect. She gripped the stone tight and made small cuts along her upper arm. If it didn't draw blood, she did it in the same place, twice, 3 times. As many as it took. She'd broken the needle stitching, and so she made a cut. She'd been last to answer a question regarding the throat and lungs. She'd known the answer. She knew it. For that, she made 2 cuts. She'd been distracted and forgotten to take down the circulatory diagrams for the day's lecture. So she'd stayed late. She stayed late to do it, yet wasted away the afternoon with him instead. For that, she thought, she deserved 3. So she lifted the stone again, shaking, and had it just above her skin. But something made her hesitate. Just for a moment, she couldn't bring it to her arm. Yes, whenever she thought of him, she hesitated. Sometime after she'd finished, she stood and leaned against the storage room wall, shaking. She fought simply to stay upright and keep from crying. What would he say? What would he think about her if he knew? Oh, Kanari. In those moments, she imagined another life. She imagined somehow becoming a wound bearer instead, so that she could follow him and be by his side. Yes, maybe. If he was around all the time, maybe then she could put down the stone. Put it down and never pick it back up. Ah, so that is when the dependency started. I mean, from a certain standpoint, she might have been correct in this. Like if you can't stop yourself from these compulsive actions, maybe the best thing you can do is find someone else who can make you stop. But I'm guessing everything went tits up when Kanari had his injury, and everything just fell apart. Ah, these poor children. I jolted awake, choking. I clutched at my throat, feeling as though I couldn't breathe. Okay, wait. This is Prava again. Oh, you can faintly see the cuts on her leg. Okay. So why is this first-person narration again, when the other flashbacks were third-person? Gasping, I sat up, trying not to panic. I focused on taking long, deep breaths. Slowly, my trembling torso sank forward until I was resting my head between my knees, waiting for it to pass. So, panic attacks, huh? So then, today will be a hard day. I don't need your help with anything like that. Ah, so we're back to the aftermath of this. Okay. It had been the look in his eyes. So stop asking about it. That look of disgust, of disdain. Ah, poor Prava. Yeah, there was disgust and disdain in his eyes. But that was directed at himself and not at you. But of course you don't know that. The one time when they actually communicate almost properly, Kanari ends up projecting, and Prava misinterprets it. Oh, what's it gonna turn into this time? It was that look that terrified me. He's pulling away. He doesn't want to be around me. I felt my heart race. The feeling of choking returned. If I'm not careful, it will all come back. I'll remember it. That day. Every agonizing second. What, the injury that cost you your fingers? That's one mystery that we haven't seen yet. Prava, honey. You look sick. Are you feeling okay? I looked up and Sachita was there. Oh, it's just Sachi. For one moment I thought it was her mother. Ugh. Well, that's slightly better. She was sitting by the edge of my sleeping mat. She had one hand tucked under her knees, and the other pressed against my forehead. Her voice was soft and tender, like it so often was. I couldn't bear looking her in the eyes. Yes, I said quietly. I'm fine. I'm sorry if I made you worry, Sachi. Sachita shifted her weight and frowned, moving her hand under my chin. Prava, she said delicately. If there's ever something that's weighing on you, I'll always be there to listen. Just say the word. I'll drop everything I'm doing, just to sit by your side and listen. And if it's something you need my help with, I'll do anything I can do. I tried to focus on what she was saying, but it was like listening to someone speak underwater. Do you know that? That was a question. I nodded slowly. Sachita ran her hand through my hair gently before resting it on my shoulder. She lingered for a moment and then stood, dusting off the hem of her dress. I'm sorry. I need to go, Brava. I'll see you tonight, okay? Sachita watched me for a moment more before turning and walking towards the stairs. But after a few steps, she stopped and turned to face me once more. Brava, I know it might be something you don't want to talk about. And I respect that. But I worry about you sometimes. I worry that you're carrying around something really heavy. It's so heavy that it's crushing you. It's crushing you and making you hurt. And Sachi knows a thing or two about being hurt. I care about you, Brava. You're like my sister. Just think about what I'm saying, okay? You aren't responsible for shouldering all of it by yourself. Wow, tell that to Aram sometime, huh? She waved and was gone. After some time, I looked down at my hand. Not the good one. The other. I looked at the hideous thumbs where my fingers once had been. The horrible mess it now was. Well, really. From the looks of it, kinda looks like it was cleanly cut off at the joint. Wouldn't really call this hideous stump. I've seen worse. I'm not responsible. I almost felt like laughing. She couldn't possibly understand that nothing I could ever do for him would be enough. Nothing I could ever do would make up for it. For what I did to him. Okay, hold on. Kinda sounds like you're implying that Kanari's injury and yours happened at the same time. Well, wouldn't that be fucked up? The sky had been so beautiful. That day. The day it happened. Oh, are we finally going to say it? The girl had watched the clouds slowly go by overhead. Okay, now we're back to third-person narration. Something is definitely wonky about these Brava flashbacks. Maybe at the end it will turn out that she has dissociative identity disorder, and there's actually two Bravas. And looked out at the settlement stretched before her, bathed in golden light. From the roof of the Lyceum Hall, the small group could see everything. It had been Kanari's idea, of course. She didn't want to be there. It wasn't allowed. She told Kanari over and over, but he just laughed. As he'd taken her hand and pulled her up off the makeshift ladder, thrown so casually against the balcony below. A ladder they'd all had to make. He'd been smiling, almost giddy. The girl looked to the others. Aram and Sachita sitting against the chimney. She saw just how much they too seemed to be enjoying the small act of disobedience. But obviously, they were teenagers. What could she have possibly said? What choice did she have? No, stop. Not now. Not today. Okay, what's going on here? He hadn't spoken to me yet that day. We stood close in line. Oh, there, looking very haggard. Ay, ay, ay. Waiting for the day's ration. I wasn't hungry. Girl, you're slowly mummifying as I'm looking at you. You need to eat. I hadn't eaten the last 2 meals anyway. Or 3. That and... I tried to remember the last time I'd bathed. How many hours I slept in the past week. Oof, yeah, both of these kids are just depressed. And they aren't even conscious of it. What does it matter? If he's unhappy, if he's suffering, I should be too. Canary looked around idly. And for a moment, he cast his gaze back at me. We met eyes for a brief moment, and I smiled. Canary's face twisted for a moment. But he managed the faintest of smiles in return. Quickly he dropped his eyes and looked elsewhere. I'd known it for a long time. How I'd been kidding myself, thinking that somehow, in some way, he was happy here at the kiln. No, anyone could tell that he isn't. This is the life that I gave him. I left him with absolutely nothing else. That's why I have to be there for him. I have to care for him. I owe him much more than I could ever give. I try to keep my thoughts occupied with just that. But whenever I let them stray, I thought about the rooftop. The color the sky had been. And it made me feel sick. It took all that I had not to bend at the waist and lose what little was in my stomach. Thinking about that naive, stupid girl. What, did you fall from the roof and he jumped after you? No, that wouldn't explain the fingers. It was the way she'd simply gone along with it. When Canary had climbed the windowsill, using it as a step to reach the next rooftop, he wanted her to follow. He wanted to get even higher up. "Prava," he called, standing by the edge with his hands on his hips. "Come on. You should see the view from up here." He'd asked her in particular. That's all it was. For that little gesture, the girl shoved her fears aside and followed, reaching for the windowsill. All the while, Aram and Sachita laughed somewhere to her side, engaged in their own conversation. Heights had always made the girl nervous. But Canary saying her name was all it took. All it took to go against her better judgment. Just for the opportunity to be close to him. Oh, God above. I wanted to scream. To scream at myself. And tell her to stop. Okay, now we're back to first person again. It's almost like she's so heavily dissociating that she's even viewing her own memories from the third person. It's really weird. Stop recalling that day under the sky. I bit down hard on my tongue, trying anything I could think to focus on something else. The pain made my hands shake. I blinked and saw that I was painting right over work I'd done the previous day. I realized I didn't recall how long I'd been painting, or what it was I was supposed to be painting. What was I? Oh yeah, anxious and scared, and starving, and depressed. She's so heavily dissociating right now. I wonder how she's even alive at this point. My heartbeat was a constant throbbing rhythm in my ears, and it blocked everything else out. There was no sound, just my own thoughts. Inarguably the worst place to be for you. Other apprentices and journeymen would pass by, and I would see them out of the corner of my eye. They drew near, and my pulse accelerated. I was terrified. What do they want? They've come to hurt him. I looked over at Canary next to me, sitting and painting quietly. I won't let anyone hurt him. I'd do anything. Anything. Because if I lost him, I don't know what I would do with myself. I felt sick again. Does he hate me? What if he hates me? What if he doesn't want me around? Something caught my eye and pulled me from my thoughts. To my left, Canary winced, retracting his hand from the vase as if in pain. Without even a moment's hesitation, I spoke. It was like a reflex. If I ever saw that Canary was troubled, I had to do something immediately. I had to. Con, does your hand hurt? Do you need to take a break? I'll cover for you if... I knew I'd made a mistake before I'd even finished speaking. I saw Canary's face twist in frustration. His eyes cold and distant. He put his hand in his lap. No, brother, he spat. Why don't you stop looking at me and pay attention to your half? I saw you paint over the trim. You ruined it. Where Canary was standing hadn't been high enough, evidently. He wanted to take her higher and higher. To the very top of the building. Oh boy. Where the view was like nothing else on the island. The girl followed, taking his hand again and again. Spurred on by his laugh, his smile. It hadn't occurred to the girl just how high up they'd climbed. But at last, the base of the bell tower came into sight. Oh no. That is the highest place in the settlement. You do not want to climb that. It's because of that day. Canary and I. Neither of us are fully alive. Oh, that's quite a metal way of saying it. But yeah, basically. Both of you lost something important that day. We're missing something each. We're both incomplete. Oh, so you're just gonna skip over the rest, huh? Not tell us what happened. Well, okay then. The crowd of hungry, weary apprentices filed around us as we stood in the street. I faced him, hands clasped at my waist, trying to think of something I could say. But the din of voices, filling the late evening air with conversation, the fact that against such a wall of noise, still there was silence between us. It spoke every word. So instead, I lifted a hand and waved, smiling with everything I could. Canary's eyes darted around, as if searching for somewhere to look that wasn't my face. At last, he settled on staring at my feet. And that was all. He turned and walked off, disappearing into the crowd. And just before he was gone from sight, he waved over his shoulder. As I stood, watching him leave, I knew then that I was that girl on the roof all over again. That girl would climb the head of Canary, standing proudly on the ledge just above him. She'd been so excited. Her nerves had disappeared. Wait, the bell tower's over there. Last time you were talking about climbing the base of the bell tower. I don't get it. Okay, it's whatever, probably. Her nerves had disappeared. Yes, the roles had been reversed. And now it was her turn, for once, to extend a hand to him. And so he took it, taking one foot off a windowsill below. The girl leaned in, his weight heavier than anticipated. Uh-oh. To balance herself, she'd taken a step backward. Backward onto a loose brick. Oh no. Oh no. And that was all it took. Oh, you let him go. A stumble, a loss of footing. For just an instant. That was all it took for the girl to release her grip. Yeah, that would make you feel guilty for life. Yes, the sky was so beautiful. So beautiful. The day she looked to her hand, now empty. And then, over the edge. Ooh, what a shot. Watching plummet through the air, the boy who had just been holding it. Okay, I'm guessing he landed on his leg, and it completely shattered it. It's a small miracle he's still alive then. But that still doesn't explain Brava's fingers. Maybe she went too far with the self-harm, and she cut them off herself as penance. Maybe. Don't really see any other option. You finished it then? Tala looked at me inquisitively. Oh, we're back to Aram now. I nodded, reaching under my minash, producing a long stone device. Oh, a lever. I held out the finished lever for Tala to see. I finished most of it the day before yesterday, I said. It's made from stone, but that's the best I can really do at the moment. I think the original was made from the same metal as the other, but the shape is pretty close, I think. I'm hoping the material doesn't matter. Tala nodded approvingly. Listen, I said, sliding closer. This is the closest I've ever been to something real. If this elevator works, I might finally discover where the people went. The better world. All of it, Tala. I stood, my heart pounding. Tonight, everything could change. Tala spoke up. Aram, don't you? Aram! Tala! Startled by this sudden shout, I wheeled my head around and was shocked to see one of the other two sentries on duty standing in the doorway. Oh, what's happening now? His chest was rising and falling rapidly, as if he had been running, and his expression was grim. I couldn't believe it. Neither of the other two sentries had ever come this close, let alone stepped inside. His eyes darted about rapidly, this clearly being his first time seeing what lay beyond the door. He seemed terrified by the sight of it all, but quickly composed himself and continued speaking in a tense, urgent manner. You two, come right away. We've all been ordered to abandon our posts, everyone. Oh, what's going on here? That ain't good. Oh, the wound bearers are supposed to come and help. Okay, what is it? Tala and I exchanged worried glances. What is it? Tala asked. The sentry looked over his shoulder nervously. It's the kiln. It's on fire. Oh boy. Well, that ain't good. There was shouting, screaming, at the sound of footsteps rushing about. I smelled the smoke as we ran through the streets, chests heaving, and rounding a corner. Yep, shit's on fire, yo. I saw the flames. The kiln was engulfed in a roaring blaze, like none I'd ever seen. It illuminated the dark street like 1,000 lamps, and I felt heat on my face as if I were sitting next to a hearth. All around, wound bearers ran to and fro with vases of water, attempting to extinguish it. Several of the oldest wound bearers ran in and out to salvage what they possibly could, tossing items haphazardly onto the street. Tala and I stood frozen, watching the display in horror. Oh god. Dread came over me as I began desperately searching for anyone I recognized. Where's Canary? Where's Brava? I spotted my father shouting orders to a group of wound bearers nearby. Tala gave me a severe look and ran off to help without a single word. Shaking myself off, I began to follow, realizing putting it out came before anything else. I took a step and then stopped dead in my tracks. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a figure. A figure kneeling alone in the middle of the street, staring at the blaze with wide, terrified eyes. One hand hung limp at his side, and the other clutched the cane tightly. Canary. Spinning on my heels, I ran to him. Coming close, Canary slowly turned to look at me. His face was twisted and pale, and before I could say anything, he began muttering. It was just a joke. It was supposed to be a prank. Oh shit, you did this? Aye. I didn't mean it. I didn't mean for... Between his hoarse whispering and stammer, I could barely make sense of what he was saying. Just then, there was a swell of voices nearby. It sounded like shouting and arguing. I swung my head around and saw a group of people rapidly approaching Canary and I. They were kiln workers, spearheaded by an older man with a furious expression, the kiln master. And of course, everybody fucking hates Canary, so he's gonna be the first one they point to. And it just so happens that he did actually do it. So, what is Aram going to do here? Is he going to protect his friend, or is he going to be a wound bearer? Let them take him. They stopped short, and I find myself standing between the group and Canary. That's him, Master, the cripple, one shouted, pointing an accusatory finger. I'm telling you I saw him. The kiln master looked at Canary behind me with scorn. Another chimed in, pushing forward angrily. I saw him too. That bastard snuck back in after hours. He must have done something. A third voice, more vicious than the last, cut through the commotion. There's no doubt, Master. I looked and saw that it was the very same apprentice who'd struck Canary weeks ago. He pointed at Canary furiously. It was the cripple. You already know, Master. He's done nothing but cause problems for us, year after year. It's little wonder this was his fault too. There's no way. It couldn't have been. I need to protect him, vouch for him. This isn't something he would ever do as a joke. I opened my mouth, ready to deny it. But before I could, Canary spoke up. His voice sounded so frail, barely more than a whisper. It was supposed to be funny. Yeah, that's not gonna convince anyone. So sad that it needed a prank gone wrong for him to finally speak up. Supposed to be harmless. He gestured at the apprentice weakly. I took your apron and a few other things. I hid them. I guess He swallowed hard. I put something near one of the pottery ovens that wasn't cool yet. And they went up. Immediately the shouting began. The apprentices heard insults. Vile insults. What were you thinking? You fucking idiot. You ruined everything. Do you know how much damage you've caused? You're a waste of meals. From the Killmaster came the worst of it. Why am I not surprised? You've been nothing but a drain on the settlement for your entire meaningless apprenticeship. Your life is not worth the same as the rest of us, boy. The children of Sunlight have no need for a worthless thing such as yourself. And all the while, as the flames roared and scathing, biting voices echoed through the street, Qunari sat, head hung low, and took it. He just sat, perfectly still. Yeah, really? They're just saying all the things that he has been saying to himself this entire time. I don't know if that would make him feel better or worse. Eventually, the Killmaster looked to me with a wild and furious expression. You there, Woundbearer, take the cripple into custody. We have every reason to believe this fool maliciously started the fire. Me? Even having heard the confession from his lips, I still couldn't believe it. How can they? With so little evidence. I felt for the weapon at my side, my hands trembling. No, they can't. What will I do? My gut was telling me only one thing. Fight. Fight anything that stands in my way and win. Oh, you're getting your well mentality kicking in. That's not gonna cut it. Not out here. Please reconsider. I tightened my hand around the hilt of my blade. But then, there was a voice screaming. Qunari! Yep, Prava's here. It was a woman's voice. In a blur of motion, Prava came running from the crowd, leaping in between the group and Qunari, pushing me out of the way forcefully. Immediately she looked to the Killmaster. Please, she pleaded. Please reconsider. Her voice was shaking, raw and hoarse. Please, it wasn't his fault. It couldn't have been. It couldn't have. Suddenly there came another voice from behind, no more than a whisper. Prava, please, stop. I'm begging you, not now. Don't get involved. It was Qunari. Prava didn't hear. He would never do something like this, she cried, almost on the verge of tears. You have to understand. Please. Qunari spoke again, louder this time. Prava, stop. Now. Still Prava continued. Her desperate, hysterical cries pierced the night air. As Prava wailed, all the while Qunari's voice grew louder. Oh no. Oh, he's gonna snap and yell something at her, huh? Aye. Over and over again. Stop. Please. Building in intensity. It grew like a smoldering coal, cast upon a bed of dry grass. Prava, tinged with anger. His voice swelled like the very flames smothering the kiln. And still, as his pleading voice went unheard by Prava, begging and crying for forgiveness. At last, something broke. Qunari forced himself to his feet. striking his cane violently against the cinder brick pavement. The sound reverberated throughout the street, and Canary screamed, "Will you fucking stop this already?" Immediately Prava fell silent. She turned slowly, eyes wide, to look at Canary. His chest heaved, and he wiped his mouth. "Why can't you understand? Why can't you see? You don't owe me anything. No debt. Nothing at all. Why can't you see that I don't want you around? I don't need you to carry my things, to hold my arm while we walk, to fight my battles. Don't you know how much I hate being around you? I can't stand to look at you, knowing how much life you've thrown away tending to me, how much life you squandered. It's miserable, and I can't bear to watch it continue for another goddamn day." Oof. Well, he finally said it. But I think he put the wrong emotions behind it. At last, Canary was out of breath. The strain on his voice, now hoarse from shouting, forced him into a coughing fit. The silence that followed was deafening. At first, Prava stood motionless, completely still. But then her hands were shaking. Oh, is she gonna break too? God fucking damn it. Her short breaths became choked. And at last, she let out a small, quiet whimper. But she squeaked out, "I have your notebook. You gave it to me." Aram. I looked up and saw that my father was standing just beside me. It seemed he had been watching now for some time. He was covered in soot and ash. His face was grim, and he spoke a simple order. "Perform your obligation. You know that it must be done." For the space of a long breath, I simply froze, staring at him, at Prava, tears streaking her cheeks, and at Canary, head hung low. But at last, on unsteady feet, I approached Canary and put a hand on his shoulder. Slowly I turned him from the group and began to lead him away into the night. Canary didn't say a word. He didn't struggle. He simply went along with me quietly, as I led him in the direction of the temple where he was to be held and tried for his crime. Oof. Well, I was expecting something to go terribly sideways. Did not expect accidental arson. Wow. It took 2 long hours. But at last, the great kiln fire was finally snuffed out. The fire was prevented from spreading to other buildings, yes, but the kiln could not be saved. As the heat expanded and cracked the brick foundations, melting away the ancient mortar holding them together, the building had finally collapsed into a pile of rubble and smoke. As for the many things left inside, tools, pottery wheels, paints, and many personal effects, all of those things and the unspoken words that had for years hung in the air around them, mixing with clay dust, all of those things were burned to ash. Wah. Okay, we have another save. So it is time to stop. Well, this was much heavier than I anticipated. Got a little more backstory, and now we finally understand at least some of how that incident happened. We still have no proper explanation for Prava's fingers, if we ever do get one. I'm starting to think that the Prava flashbacks are not actually all that reliable. I don't know, I have a really weird feeling about those. Like maybe someone else is, I don't know, reading her journal in the future or something. We will see if anything happens to that. But for now, thank you for watching. If you like this story, which I really hope you do, then please give the video a like. If you're new here, check around my channel, maybe I have something else that is to your liking. And as always, I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, take care of yourself, and have as good a day as you can make it. Goodbye.